Greetings, YouTube. This is the Garage Autonomist. I know that a lot of you guys have been talking a lot about the Stephon Clark tweets. Now, these became public knowledge a little bit after his death. And, I've joked many times that when it comes to these anti-black women, black males, or when it comes to coons, that if the day ever came where they wound up in the crosshairs of cops, I wouldn't give a flying fuck. And it's not like I've really changed my attitude on that, to be honest with you, but it's really not about the person who was murdered. It's more about the fact that the police feel that they can carte blanche kill anyone, especially if it's racially motivated, or fear all the time when they're dealing with black people. So understand that those of us who are anti-police brutality, we're always more about that. That's one of the main reasons why, we reject the intellectually lazy argument that Bill Clinton has always aimed at Black Lives Matter movement, where he's always said ridiculous things like, oh, you guys are advocating for criminals. Are you kidding me? Half of the police brutality cases are not about criminals, or when criminals have been shot or killed. Rarely have these cases have been in a situation where the person or the target was indeed under investigation or were part of the process of a police case, of an actual arrest or a police case. Abner Louima or others have not been were not targets of a police investigation. So to be anti-police brutality is just like the stupid ass argument that if you are against police brutality, you're anti-white, which was the argument that someone like, who was that idiot? YouTuber Felfop tried to say in his ridiculous video about Black Lives Matter, that somehow it's anti-white to be anti-police or anti-police brutality. So, again, Stephon Clark, no one, or at least I'm not going to ever backtrack against my position when it comes to police brutality. But at the same time, I'm not going to suddenly, forgive him for any of the tweets that he's ever written. And they were pretty bad tweets. But that doesn't have anything to do with the case of police brutality. It doesn't change my viewpoint, and it doesn't really change the facts. Especially now that we know even more so that he was shot from the back. So they, it wasn't like they shot him from the front. How can he be a danger if you were shooting him and his back was turned to you, right? Anyway, but the real thing I wanted to talk about in this video is that I am announcing that on the 5th of April, that is this month, that is this Thursday rather, I'm going to be doing an open mic. And some of the subject that we're going to be talking about is, one, rejecting mama's pot. In other words, have you ever been in a situation, or have you gone through a phase where you've rejected the food of your family or your culture? Like, in other words, you had the attitude that if I ever look at another plate of candied yams or greens, I'm going to throw the shit against the wall. I'm only bringing that up because, as you all know, celebrity chef David Chang, the guy that created Momofuku here in New York, and you've seen him play himself in TV shows like Treme. Or you've seen him play in TV shows like Treme, or you've seen him in, he has now his own show, which is called Ugly Delicious. and I'm just now catching up on it. It's really, I'll give my opinion this Thursday on what I think about the show. But basically, when he started off in his career as a cook, he didn't want to have anything to do with Korean food, didn't want to cook it, had no inkling, had no desire whatsoever to put it in his kitchen and on his menu. But now, there was a scene where he was basically cooking for breakfast. He was cooking for breakfast some, I believe it was a Korean-style short rib stew for he and his wife. And you could see the wheels already turning. And I'm speaking as a former cook. I mean, I wasn't a chef or anything, but I know the mind of cooks, and whether you're a home cook or whether you're an actual professional person or a brand like David Chang, you could see that he was, the wheels were turning, and maybe he might do something, put his mother's food out there publicly, maybe create a whole nother restaurant. Who knows what he'll do. But anyway, so just going to talk about that a little bit, because it was something that, like, my wife always gets pissed off at me every Thanksgiving that I won't cook any of the food that she had come to love, that my mother has made. But I don't have any love for it at all. I'm still at this point in my life where I could not make her candied yams, even though I know how to do them. Or her dressing, I'm just not, I could care less. I just don't want to cook it. So we're going to talk about that. Have you ever had that feeling like you could never really eat again the food of your family or the food of your culture or community? Another thing I want to talk a little bit about is me missing Houston. I saw an episode of Parts Unknown. That is Anthony Bourdain's show. And, I play these shows usually when I'm at work as sort of like, white noise in the background while I'm working. Sorry about that. Hold on here. While I'm working. And, and so, he went to Houston, and I thought it was a really, really good show. And I was like, God damn, I forgot how fucking cool Houston is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Houston. And then, of course, I'm just going to leave the rest of the mic open for everyone else in the chat for whatever you want to talk about. And, of course, a lot of you may want to review this whole thing with the Stephon Clark tweet. So that will be this week, April 5th, 10:30 p.m. All right? See you then. Peace.